I am so happy to see my beautiful friend again today, Amy Valentine. Amy and I chat every so often. We've had a little bit of a break from our last chat, which just due to everything that's going on. But it's so wonderful to see you again, Amy, and I'm really looking forward to our chat today. Amy has a beautiful YouTube channel I encourage everyone to go to called AV Life Coaching, and the links will be below in the description. And I'm really thrilled to be able to bring a talk today because I think we have quite a high vibe together. And I'm hoping that we can, focus on the things in life that are beautiful, and focus on the beauty and the joy of life today. I think is a really nice one. I'd like to start, if I may, Amy, on that topic, saying that I've got a beautiful shawl on that is one that reminds me of a Native American Indian shawl. I don't know, you can't probably see it very well, but it is very much reminding me of that. And it reminds me of a past life I had, which I absolutely loved. I still have a memory of it, of being a Native American Indian. I was actually a medicine woman. And funnily enough, when I channeled my name, Medyhne, one of the meanings I found out subsequently was in one of the Native American Indian languages was medicine woman. And I remember this lifetime where it was so sort of cohesive and communal. And we every night we would sit round a fire, the whole sort of tribe, and we'd sing and we'd dance and we'd tell stories. And it was such a joyful, beautiful life. We're very obviously connected to, Mother Earth. And it was just really beautiful. So that's a memory that I treasure, that is in my cells. So tell me, how have you been going, Amy?
I've been doing really well. I think I wanted to just say really quick, I think it's really interesting when you remember or have a memory of a past life, because I've done the regression and all that, and I didn't know if I should trust the feelings that I got. But I think it's so cool, because the more I'm learning about metaphysics and how this universe works, it's like it's all happening simultaneous. So every lifetime we do have access to it, because there's no linear time in the spirit world, right?
True.
And I don't want to get off on a wacky tangent, but that fascinates me, that you're resonating with the shawl and everything. And that really, I think, is a good food for thought for anybody else that's curious about that even though time is not really linear. I mean, we're experiencing linear time, but I think that's a really cool topic to delve into, like past lives and future lives and all
Yes.
that. So anyway, other than that, I've been doing good. A little kind of my energy. I like to keep a high vibe, but lately, every once in a while, I kind of dip down and I kind of forget. And so I've had, maybe we can share it later, but I've had some success with a really old school teacher, Dr. Joseph Murphy. He has a beautiful mantra that he learned through somebody else. And it's kind of like connecting you back to the now moment, to the present moment. So overall, I'm doing fantastic. But yes, I've had a couple like weird moments that I'm just like, what's going on with me?
Oh, I'm sure everyone can relate to that at the minute. Well, are you able to share the mantra at all, or is it a long one, or is it a short one?
It's two sentences, but I'm going to say it kind of slow, because it's words from like the 20s. I mean, this guy. So this is the mantra, and he suggested doing this upon waking, when you're still kind of like half asleep. And so here it is, and it's to connect with our inner being, our inner peace. It is rejuvenating, revitalizing power of God Almighty flows through me like a golden river, vitalizing and transforming every cell of my being, so that every cell of my being dances to the rhythm of the eternal God.
Very beautiful, very poetic. It's gorgeous. It has a lot of different layers, doesn't it, that one?
Yes. And I feel like, just like with any affirmation, if it resonates with you, then it's for you. If it doesn't, change it up or don't use it.
Exactly, that's so true. I think that you resonate with different things at different times, depending on your energy. One that really stood out for me at the moment is, I'd love to share that with you too, because I thought I must read this to you today in our talk. And since you've just read your one, I've just got to find it. Where is it?
Okay.
Oh, here it is. Okay. And apparently this is from Stephen Hawking, who I don't know if he was particularly spiritually oriented, obviously very science oriented and cosmically oriented, but in terms of the planets and things. But he said, remember to look up at the stars and not down at your feet. Try to make sense of what you see and wonder about what you see and wonder about what makes the universe exist. Be curious. And however difficult life may seem, there is always something you can do and succeed at. It matters that you don't just give up. So, that's more for the people that are struggling at the minute too. That life goes in waves. You have your good times and you have your and your bad times, and it's just like hopefully with the meditation things, we can stabilize the energy of that, and it could be more of a smooth run. But generally speaking too, emotions are energy in motion, and it does go in waves. So you're always going to feel better at another point. And if you don't feel the downside of things, then you're also not able to feel the upside. So those down moments allow you to also feel the real up moments as well.
Oh, that's so beautifully said. And it's so true. And I think that when we embrace our life that way, we stop resisting the so-called negative emotions or the bad times, because really, to spirit, to our soul, to that eternal nature, what's going on right now? I mean, I can't even imagine. They're only seeing through the eyes, so to speak, of love. So they're not seeing any pain or strife or evil or problems. They're only seeing love. So that's kind of what I'm focusing on, that, how do we teach, as teachers, and also by the power of our example, how do I embody this love, not in a way that, oh, I have to be up all the time, but to feel every emotion, because if there's only one love and one energy, and that energy connects us all, that means we humans are filtering that one energy through whatever's going on in our mind, negative, positive, happy, sad. So emotions are kind of made up from that one love energy. So
yeah, I hear you. That's true. And I think to be able to feel it is really important, because that's why it's here. There is divine meaning in everything, and so the divine meaning of those feelings is to be able to feel them. That's what we've come here to do. And they're not all sunshine and roses.
No, I had a client reach out to me today, and he said something, and he said, well, my soul man, he calls his soul man. My soul man's not here. And he gave me a list of all the reasons, why he was feeling off. And I just asked him one question. I said, okay, acknowledged what he was going through. And I just said, well, why is that a problem? Because he was telling me all the things that he wished he had motivation to do, but he didn't want to do any of them. He just wanted to take a walk. And I said, well, why is that a problem?
It's true.
And his response was, you're making my brain hurt.
Too many questions. Well, the thing is, we do judge ourselves so much, and we judge everything we do. And if you take away that judgment, then that frees you up to just be.
Exactly. And so I told him, yeah, exactly. That's exactly was my point, just to call it out, but not in a judgmental way, but have compassion for those feelings. If you don't feel like doing that, all that stuff on the list, so what?
And if it was your child, you know, or a young person or a child that you cared about, you would have that attitude with them. So why would you have a different attitude with yourself, where you know what I mean?
That's a really good point. That's a really good process to use with ourselves when
Yeah,
we start to recognize that judgment. Yeah,
yeah.
that's great.
How you choose, how you'd treat a young child or your own child, or even your best friend, you know, and why would you treat yourself differently?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Well, I
Love that.
wanted to ask you some lovely questions today, because
Okay, fun.
I thought that could be a bit of fun. So I'm just going to bring them up on the screen, and they are. So we thought that since we've done, you know, quite a few chats together, we'd pick something that was to do with things that we've experienced. So what advice would you give to yourself at the age of 15?
Relax. Don't take life so seriously. Oh my God, I was so old when I was a teenager.
So was I. I was like a mini
Really?
adult. And I was actually, sorry for taking, you just triggered something. I actually was on a show on TV when I was young called Young Talent Time. I was singing, and the host of the show interviewed me, and I sounded very, very like a mini adult. And I'd say, oh, well, I was like a little adult. And I'm way more of a kid now, you know, in my behavior, and how, because I'm really thinking that tapping into my inner child is a beautiful gift, and the more we can do that, the better, you know. So I pride myself on having more childlike qualities than I had when I was that age. But also my parents valued sort of, they're a bit austere in that sense, and valued, you know, mature people, and didn't relate as well to children. So then in order to relate to them, I had to be like a little adult when I was young, so they could relate to me. Yeah.
Ah, I see. Oh, that's interesting. Because that makes you, was that a prompt for you to kind of ask yourself who you really were? I mean, was that ever an issue for you?
Oh yes. I think I've explored myself throughout this whole lifetime in depth. You know, it's what led me on the path too was I was always fascinated by people. And I think, you know, when you're fascinated by people, you're also fascinated in understanding yourself. And you know, I've done so many different things over the years to really explore aspects of, you know, humanity and who we are and things, and get insights. And yeah, so that's all part of the journey of exploring that. And as Stephen Hawking said, you know, being curious about all aspects of what it is to be human, and also expressing who we truly are, you know, your authentic self. I always thought it would be challenging to be an actor, because being an actor, you're putting yourself in the role of somebody else, and you're stepping out of your authentic self. And aren't we trying to actually define and, you know, connect to what our authentic self is, as opposed to being someone else? So I always thought that that would be a little bit of a backward step in some ways, to do that sort of thing, even though, you know, we did have acting and so forth in the family. I'll tell you a funny story too, because it's
Okay.
funny things. I had the lead part in a school play when I was young, and or younger, shall I say? And and it was called The Man Who Came to Dinner, the play. And I remember I got to the leading monologue, and my parents were in the audience, and you know, I found, that they had this quality where they could be, a little bit, I love them dearly, but they were sort of they could be critical about things. And so when they were sitting in the audience looking at me and I looked at them, my gosh, I forgot every single word of that monologue. I just went completely blank. It's like your worst nightmare when that happens when you're on a stage.
Oh no.
And the director's in the wings and he's going, rah, he's getting really upset and he's screaming the lines at me from the wings. So that was a bit of a disaster.
Oh no. Did you just get nervous?
Yeah. I just got really, really nervous and I just went, It was really funny.
That's what happens when we feel judged, right? We're making that story up in our head. We feel, oh, we're being judged so harshly, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's where it came from. But what do you think about the whole process of acting?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think it could go either way. I can understand your perspective absolutely 100%. But you know Dolores Cannon. You and I have talked about her before. You know her famous, not famous, but her popular line that she says a lot is, or said a lot, you're the actor, director, producer, and writer of the movie of your life. So I kind of look at it like that. I never wanted to be an actor or an actress. My dad used to dabble as a kid with theater. He was, he loved that kind of thing. But for me, acting would be able to tap into a character that we don't choose to play in our day-to-day life. But I feel like acting is a good process to, if say you're in a reality where you're done, you're done with your life, whatever, you want more love, you want more money. Well, and all the teachers that I read, Neville Goddard, Abraham Hicks, et cetera, Florence Scovel Shinn, everything is right. Everything is a choice. What we do with this. So that means reality, what we're physically living, is malleable. So if we could step into a role, and Vadim Zeland talks about this, right? And so does A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles says the script is written, meaning every version of Medyhne, every version of me exists in an infinite universe. We just don't see it because we don't collapse our potential, our imagination on that potential. Yes. So to me, acting is just another way to make believe and pretend.
And I know exactly what you're saying. I do know. I think that's a really great point. I remember one time in life, I had some real difficulties. I had divorced and going through a really hard time with the kids, looking after them, and just different things coming at me. And it was a really challenging time. And I thought, no, I'm going to pretend I'm in my joy. And I'd walk around the block where I lived and I would say affirmations and manifest being in my joy and try to feel the energy, not just the thought of joy, but the feeling of how it feels to be joyful. And actually, I changed that whole circumstance through doing that. I brought in a big energetic shift and I changed it for a more positive reality, because it was quite a difficult one at that time, through doing what you're saying, which is embracing the energy of joy, even though it was, in a sense, it was what's the fake it till you make it, that expression. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I look at it like, for me, that everything that is manifested was once unseen. So if that is true, that means that I didn't know what I was doing. I was just manifesting before, but I didn't know what I was doing. So if I awaken to that, oh, I can control what I put my light on, my focus, right? That's why Jesus said, I am the life, I am the light, I am the door. Well, he was saying the I am, who we think we are, who I am, is what we literally live and manifest in our life. Excuse me, sorry, I got a text message. So to me, if we could, like you said, fake it till you make it, we're not really faking it. We're just not it's not physically manifested yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's not able to be, because everything is possible.
Yes, absolutely. You know, there are multiple timelines that you can step into in any one moment. And it's just which one you choose with free will.
Well, right, because a timeline in the universe speak is just now. Everything is now. So they're all together. They're all running together simultaneously.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
It's exciting when you think of that. So we haven't even got to those questions yet.
I would tell my
end up talking. Oh, well, we've done one, haven't we? Yeah. Yeah.
I would tell my 15-year-old self to lighten up. Life is not that serious. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. You know that through experience or time on the planet. You know, there's such a thing to be said for having the ability to spend time here to actually come to that realization.
Exactly.
You know, you
exactly. Well, yeah, I think we are here to forget. I think we do come in having amnesia, so to speak, to remember, to wake up in the dream.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so question number 2.
Okay.
If you wrote a book about your career so far, what would you title it?
If I would write a book about my career, wow, you know, Medyhne, I've had so many different careers. I wanted to be a psychologist. I went to college and I got talked out of psychology, so I minored in it.
Same.
Okay, yeah. Okay. See, we're so connected. And I always had an entrepreneurial spirit. You know, from even a little kid, I was you know, selling stuff on the porch and all that.
Yeah, me too. I made a little newspaper when I was in primary school, and I remember selling it for 5 cents.
That's fantastic.
I typed it up on my typewriter.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, so I would call the jack of all trades. I don't know what I would call the book, but it would be the career that was never a career, really, because I never had a career. A restaurant owner. I owned a gift shop. I was in real estate for a short stint. I worked for a startup company. I do life coaching now. I mean, all over the place, right? But all expressions of that curiosity that you spoke about earlier, being curious about life.
Yes.
And all my friends have had a career, but now me, I'm kind of just like, I go with what feels good.
Yeah. Well, I'm the same as you, Amy. I've had many different things that I've done over the years. I could never really call them careers, but I think as a curious soul, that's what we do. And also, if you don't fit into the matrix, you're exploring different things because the matrix isn't in alignment with your energy. So you're trying different things to see where you can slot in, which didn't really work for me.
Oh, very true. I often felt, like, I mean, but I didn't really think about it like that back then. I guess I didn't know enough to think about it that way, but I just kind of just was like, yeah, I'm not doing that whole corporate thing, and it wasn't bad. It just didn't resonate.
Yes, exactly.
With me.
Exactly. Okay. So what is your favorite childhood memory?
Wow. Okay. So it's not one memory. It's like, it's an experience. So when I was little, my parents were divorced and my mom was a single mom, and she had met at work a friend that had 2 children, and we went to nursery school together from when we were 4 years old. So all my favorite childhood memories are with that family. They're like my second family, with Jen and Rich and Jesse and John. And we grew up sort of close together, spending vacations together in the summer with, my family. And so, and one of the really fun memories is her dad was a culinary school teacher, and he would let us every summer hold a fair in their backyard. And they didn't have like a big house, but it was this cool thing. They lived in this cool neighborhood, and he would make funnel cake, and we would put on shows. They would set up the records and the music, and then we would dance and sing and act.
Wow.
And so those were some of my most favorite memories, was growing up with the Gills and just that kind of stuff. With my family, my cousins in the summer, those are my favorite. And I grew up in a big Italian family, so another favorite memory is just the food, just growing up around all the drama of the adults, making food. I just remember like my Aunt Rose and just like everybody just cooking, and everything was about family and eating. And it was like a whole day thing. It wasn't like you sat down and ate and went to play. No, it was like a whole thing.
Wow.
So,
I love that about European families. I'm sure that in my cells, I'm also very European, because I really relate to that. And I've had many European friends over the years, and I feel like I slot into that sort of template really well, which is, that the way that they relate to one another, and the whole vibe of the whole thing. And yeah, I love all that.
Oh, I would love to live in Europe. I would love to live in Italy for a year and just walk around and just be in that community, that spirit, the food and the wine and the whole thing. I would love that. Yeah.
Yeah, very beautiful. I've got a very simple childhood memory compared to you, but still,
Okay.
it's one that came up, so I'm going to share it. So I had a good friend, growing up, and her name was Jackie. She lived next door, and her parents had a few paddocks, and they had horses. And so we would go over to the paddock, and I remember on a few occasions we would just lie down on the paddocks and look up at the sky and discuss metaphysical things and watch the clouds passing, and that was a lovely memory, I think. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Are you still in touch with that childhood friend?
Well, I was for many years, but no, not for quite a few years now, and no.
It's interesting how people, right? They come in and out of our lives, and it's just like, but then they're still in our memory, in our hearts.
Mm. So true, so true. I must say too, I was thinking about someone the other day. Hadn't talked to them for a while. I was just thinking about them. And all of a sudden, right after I was thinking about them, they contacted me. So, the veil is thin there. We can just reach people easily, and we don't necessarily need a phone,
Oh, I 100% agree. Absolutely. We're all connected.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way in this vast universe. I mean, we met, I'm in the United States, you're in Australia. So it's just fascinating. And I love that you started with the David Hawkins, like, just stay curious. I used to be very serious and analyze everything. And, I've kind of, I like the curiosity aspect instead of trying to figure everything out. It's just so much lighter.
Absolutely, absolutely. So when we talk about the beauty of the world, the beauty of the universe around us, what are the things that stand out for you about, what you I guess reflect on as being beautiful in your eyes?
I feel like I wouldn't know the beauty of even just nature. Just to, like, as a simple example of walking outside and the sun shining and the birds are chirping and the flowers. I love flowers. I love gardening. Or even like my dog who's like snoring asleep next to me. I mean, now I appreciate those little things. And I almost challenge myself to linger in that, you know, a little bit longer, just patter one more minute, or, you know, stay outside and breathe the air one more minute. Cause I feel like sometimes I get in that like busy mode.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I still have to stop and smell the roses, so to speak, and let myself feel that beauty. So yeah, for me, beauty is everywhere, but it's the difference between looking outside at a tree that's maybe a little crooked, you know, and then another tree that might be like beautiful, and be like, no, it's all beautiful.
Yes, that's true. Do you think that that rush thing that we have that's sort of been instilled in us, do you think that's programming?
100%. 100,000%. I think it is purposeful programming. Yes.
It is, isn't it? I feel so too. And so we need to be perhaps mindful or conscious of the fact that the constant feeling to be busy, to be doing something, even if it's a beautiful humanitarian project, or you're doing a universal service for humanity, and I'm talking to myself here, it's like, just stop and just be, and just be happy, and to be in the moment. You know, that is something that we need to remind ourselves, I believe, because of all the programming that's been really pushed upon us, and many of us aren't even aware that that's the case. There is so much programming of what's been going on with who we are, that we need to really question everything that we do and why we do it, I think.
Oh, I agree. And that's why they said in scripture, you know, be still and know that I am God. You know, be still, shut out the busyness, shut out the 3D world just long enough to know that you are one with that universal energy, you know, and that universal energy doesn't judge us for being busy.
Speaking of universal energy, as I'm talking, there's a beautiful little bird called a Willy Wagtail in Australia, just hopping around in front of me on the fence. And I'm thinking, that's very interesting. I'd like to look up the meaning of this bird, because lo and behold, it's probably got something very relevant to what we're talking about. I'm just, because he's
please do.
He's trying to get, this little bird is trying to get my attention. And I'm thinking,
oh, I love that.
Speaking of that universal consciousness, you know, that we're just talking about.
Oh, I think birds in general, I mean, it's the path of least resistance, right? I mean, I just had a bird, a wren, you know, make a nest in a house plant, and I just stopped watering the plant. Because I didn't want to disturb the, you know, the little chicks and stuff. So,
oh, that's very sweet. Well, yes, it does have relevance, of course. So what does a wagtail mean spiritually? So when I Googled it, and it's interesting, I find when I Google things, they can change, you know, depending on the energy and the day that you look and everything, and what energy you're in, the words will change. It's amazing. Anyway, wagtails feature in the myths of many cultures. In ancient Greece, they were the symbol of love and a gift from the goddess Aphrodite. So isn't that interesting?
I love that meaning.
Isn't
and
that
that's
lovely?
what really, that's at the core of what we're talking about, is just that one love. Yeah. And how to access it.
And there's another meaning too underneath. So whatever resonates with the viewers out there as well, you know, you can grab onto that. But similarly, because, you know, they've got this little tail that wags. That's why they're called a Willy Wagtail. It's so cute.
Okay.
I'll put a picture up so people overseas can see what I'm talking about. But it says here, Willy Wagtail reminds us to be cheerful and to proclaim our zest for life. And that's what we're talking about. We're trying to, well, I don't like the word trying, but we are touching on the beauty of life. So that's, you know, exactly what that Willy Wagtail is also embodying, I guess.
Oh yeah, well, right. And I think that's what all our talks really are. We talk about the not so pleasant things, but in a way that hopefully people understand that, yeah, we're not just talking about being positive all the time and the beauty, but like Willy Wagtail saying, no, focus on the love, feel the other stuff, but focus on that love and have that zest for life. Because I mean, the fact that we're even here at this time is, oh, my friend and I talk about this all the time. And it's like, we're almost like bracing ourselves, because it's so exciting, but so crazy at the
Like a
same.
roller coaster.
It is, but
But
but if this helps anybody out there, it's teaching me detachment, like meaning healthy detachment, that I don't need, I know the end. The end is love, right? And that's going to rise and rise and rise. But yeah, not to be like, okay, when's this going to happen? Or I mean, it's just like detach from the outcome. And like the Willy Wagtail says, have that zest for life every day. Find that. That's the God within all of us. That's what God's will is for us, to live our highest ideal.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it is very addictive, that thing of oh, what's happening next, because there's so much happening in such an accelerated way. It's like watching, a soap opera on TV. It's,
It is. I used to love them.
well, that's actually the purpose of soap operas for children, or younger people, because a lot of younger teenagers would watch soap operas, and they're at that phase of their life where they're actually often quite dramatic. And so by watching the soap opera, there is an element of them being able to live out all the drama that they're feeling through that, rather than having to act it out in the physical world.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought, I heard that, and that resonated. I thought, well, that makes sense, because so many young people watch, all the neighbors and the this and the that. Don't even know if it's on anymore, but you know what I mean.
I know the ones I used to watch aren't on anymore, but
yeah. Well, I think for me, in terms of beauty, you always go back to nature, don't you? In so many ways. I live on the water, and I'm very blessed. We have dolphins that swim from the point here that I'm looking out on. That's incredibly beautiful, having water around. Water magnifies your energy too, and your emotions. It's very interesting. So I love water. There's something about water that's really special as well. And I think that the time that we're in at the moment, getting the beauty out of the moment now, is life is, in a way, it seems like it's here. It can be here one moment, gone the next. I mean, I've just had a dear friend who's passed, so that's also relevant to me. But it's like the preciousness of life, because we're hearing people dying suddenly a lot with, this thing. And so there is an aspect to, life that, we could be here now, and then the next day we may not be, or, we don't know the long term, in terms of the whole scheme of things. And so that every moment that we're here is such an opportunity to be able to get the most out of this reality that we're existing in. And I think that if we see life that way, and make that something that we remind ourselves of at different times when we need to, I think that can be really helpful. It truly is such an opportunity to live. Like, the beings on the other side really want to experience what this feels like, and regardless of all the the shadow stuff that's coming to the surface at the moment on Earth, all the dark stuff that has to be exposed in order to be transmuted, regardless of all that stuff, it's still a beautiful world, and there's still such a gift and an opportunity in waking up every day, being alive, and having the opportunity for our souls to have this consciousness and this experience.
Absolutely, because one thing is for sure, consciousness just is. We're eternal beings. Maybe not in this physical body, obviously, but we are eternal beings. And that consciousness is only love. There is only love. And yes, the shadow side is the inversion of love, right? The fear, the parts of ourselves that we shut out that light and shut out that love. So yes, we're coming into a time where that's getting harder and harder to do, right? It's getting harder and harder to make decisions from fear. I'm not saying it's not possible, of course it is, but it's getting uncomfortable, I think, for everybody.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And
Because it's not our truth. It's not who we are.
it's forcing people to bring up the things that they are experiencing as fear so that they can look at it and transmute it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And transmute it just means love it. In my mind, just love it. Don't understand that it has no power unless we give it power.
That's true.
Love is the only power. Fear only has power if we feed it. That's why the monster under the bed is only there if you fear the monster under the bed. But you turn that light on, you turn that love on, there's no monster.
And again, it's a program from the dark that
Right.
is serving them, but not serving us. Yeah.
And they to do such horrible things, whatever their consciousness was the low of the low. So whatever that is, that lack of love, right? Not being in their soul, not being in that connection. Yeah. And now it's game over.
Yeah. They must be really squirming with the energies of all this high vibrational, cosmic energy that's coming down and all the upgrades.
But that's okay. We have enough love for them to squirm.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. They can squirm. Because we're not, I've thought a lot about that. Like how, but I always go back to this simple statement from Abraham Hicks, and Esther channels Abraham and says, everything in the world exists. Everything. You can't unexist anything. You can't really kill anything. There is no death. So if it's existing, it's because something and someone is focusing on it. So when we stop focusing on the shadows and just focus on love, let the shadows be there. The shadows have to destroy themselves. Not destroy, but you know what I mean? Fade back into infinite love. And that's how it works. Instead of us trying to conquer the fear, you never conquer fear. It just gets bigger. You let it be there, and you turn away from it, turn towards love. And that fear gets transmuted, as you say, into what is reality, which is love. And then the vibration just naturally rises.
Beautiful. Well, I think that's a perfect note to finish, Amy. Thank you. Such a profound point to finish on. Thank you so much. It's so beautiful to chat with you, and as usual, and we hopefully have inspired people to think about the beauty of life and the beauty that is in life, and not to forget it, in the midst of whatever anyone's going through. There is still so much beauty out there.
I love that. I agree. And we're all here to, lean on each other, and help each other, support each other.
That's true.
That when we have a bad moment, we have somebody to talk to, and vice versa. So
true. Yeah, absolutely. And Amy and myself both give, sessions to people. If anyone's out there and they're guided to our energy and we resonate, we both have sessions. I do mentoring do you do mentoring too, Amy? Yeah.
I don't. I do a little teaching, you know, on my channel, but as far as my coaching, I kind of mix coaching, which is just, you know, kind of facilitating, and mentoring, but I don't really call it mentoring, but I do stick in little, you know, spiritual things to help people just plant seeds, to help them think about, you know, it's a lot of anxiety right now.
There is, absolutely.
Yeah.
And also on that note, I have a beautiful workshop coming up called Self-Love.
Mhm.
And
I think that you and I did that a couple years, like a
oh,
year and a half
yes,
ago.
yes, yes, yes. It's a beautiful one, and it really is powerful for people in gathering self-awareness and really helping them to see the areas to work on and the areas where they're really excelling. So it's quite affirming as well, this workshop. And so if
Oh, I
anyone,
found it really helpful. Yeah.
oh, fantastic. So anyone out there that would like to do that, I'm offering this workshop. Just contact me at my email below. And lots of love to everyone out there. And would you like to leave anyone with a final message, Amy, for the moment?
I would just say, whatever you're going through, just let yourself just be with it, and turn to whatever makes you feel that energy within, that love within, because that's who you really are. And that all things are possible. That's what it meant. All things are possible with God, meaning with love.
Yes.
So just know that nothing is impossible. Love is always right there. So let yourself be surrounded by it, no matter what's going on in your 3D world, because it's always fleeting and temporary. But love is the only thing that is permanent.
You bring
So
such a beautiful message of love. It's really clear.
oh,
Thank you. Lots
thank
of
you for having me. I was
pleasure.
so happy to be here.
Oh, pleasure. Well, we'll do it again soon. Lots of love to you, Amy, and lots of love to everyone out there. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.